How come the phone pinged at your place? And he was in denial. He was like, I don't know anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Then the cops told him something else. We talked to your neighbors. We spoke to your neighbors. And we also spoke to the landlord. And we found out that you have a water bill of 300 rupees, which is about 500 Kenyan shillings. And this is weird because the government of Delhi gives its residents 20,000 liters of water for free. So if you live in a house alone, would you really use like 20,000 liters of water in a month? It is impossible. It is impossible. Most households in New Delhi, the capital of India, do not pay water bill because the county government gives them free water monthly. So this was weird because why would you have a water bill yet you are alone, and yet other houses that have families have zero to pay in terms of water bills every month? So what was happening in that house that you needed so much water? What was happening? So at this time, he was caught. He didn't know what to say, and he didn't know how to escape these questions. So the police officers also asked him another question. They looked at his Google search history, and they found a lot. They really found a lot in his Google search history. He had searched how to dispose of a body. He had also searched how to clean blood so that there's no DNA trace. And he had also read on the human anatomy and how to dismember a body. He had also read on places where he can buy a handheld saw and heavy, sharp knives. And they had transactions that he had made from a nearby shop where he had bought some chemicals like formaldehyde. And these are chemicals that are used to preserve dead bodies, like formaldehyde. That is actually used in morgues and mortuaries to preserve dead bodies. And he had also bought a 300-liter fridge on May 19th. So they kept pushing him. They asked him, you need to tell us why do you need this equipment? Why this suspicious activity? Why the water bill? Why the phone location? Why are you lying? So he had to break and he had to say the truth. This is what this guy did to this poor girl, ladies and gentlemen. This guy, on 18th May, they had fought. They had fought about moving the rest of their utensils from Mumbai. I told you they moved from Mumbai to Delhi. So they had left some furniture, I think, in Mumbai, and they were supposed to move them to Delhi. And they had fought about who is going to settle that bill, the expense. Okay? And he strangled Shraddah. He choked her to death. And when she died, he put her body in the bathroom, slept in that house that night. The next morning, he woke up, went to the shops, bought a 300-liter fridge. And in the night, he was Googling all this, how to get rid of a dead body, how to clean blood, how to do blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he Googled all this. And even the location where he was going to buy the equipment he needs, the chemicals and the knives, and what kind of knives he needs to dismember this body. So he went and bought the knives. He bought formaldehyde. He bought sulfuric acid. He bought a 300-liter fridge and carried it home. I got home and put the body in the bathtub and filled the bathtub with water, soaked the body in the bathtub with water. And this is because if bodies, as I read this and it was so gruesome, so gruesome. When bodies are soaked in water, they become loose. So it's easier for you to cut through and get to the bone and actually cut it in pieces. So he read this online, and he also read the human anatomy. So he knew where to cut and what to cut and how to cut and which knives to use. So he soaked the body. When it was soft and tender, he cut her up into 35 pieces. he cut this poor girl, Shraddah, into 35 pieces, put them in polythene bags, stored them in the fridge, the 300-liter fridge he had bought, and then used the chemicals he had bought, the sulfuric acid and the orthoboric acid, to clean the house and remove any trace of DNA that might be there. And the formaldehyde, he used it to preserve the pieces of meat, of human flesh that he had cut. Of course, he was a chef before, so he was trained in cutting and preserving meat, plus the knowledge he had gained overnight on Google. He used that knowledge to preserve Shraddah's body in the fridge, put it there. So when he cut the head, he burnt the face so that just in case the body is found or the head is found, they wouldn't recognize her. He cut off her fingers and charred the fingerprints off, burned them off, so that just in case the fingers are found, she cannot be identified. He took all her clothes and the clothes he was wearing and what she was wearing when she died and what he was wearing when he committed the murder, and threw her clothes in the garbage disposal. But the ones that he was wearing and the ones she was wearing, he burnt them. Oh my God. What else did he do? He pretended that she was still alive by doing what? By texting her friends on IG. He went on her social media and started texting her friends in the course of several months. Okay, he kept texting her friends pretending he was her. He transferred money from her bank account to the 54,000 rupees. He paid her credit card debts until end of June. She died in May 18th. Until end of June, he was paying her credit card debt, pretending that he's Shraddah and she's still alive to avoid suspicion. He minced her internal organs, the parts of her body that would decompose quickly. He minced them, the liver, the intestines, the heart. He minced them. He minced them and flushed them down the toilet. Some he fed to the stray dogs in Delhi. And then every night for the next 3 weeks, he used to pick a body part from the fridge, wraps it in black foil paper, puts it in a bag, and walks to different places in Delhi. Yeah, they had moved to South Delhi, different places, and dumps her body parts there. So he used to put. So every night for 3 weeks, he picks a body part, wraps it in foil, black foil, puts it in a bag, and drops it somewhere in New Delhi. He distributed her body parts all over the city so that it would make it difficult for anyone to reconcile all those body parts and put them together as one individual person. A head here, an arm there, a foot here, a hand there, a finger there. Another very crazy thing that I read, I think this guy was like demonic. They said he disposed of her head last because he kept the head in the fridge for the longest time because he wanted to still talk to it and slap it around. Like he was just addicted to beating this girl up. Even when she was dead, she couldn't rest. He still wanted to beat her up. So he used to take the head out of the fridge, talk to it and slap it around and beat it up. Imagine, she's dead, but you're still tormenting her. You've killed her in the most brutal way possible, but you still want to beat her, slap her around, her head, her disembodied head, her dismembered head. You beat her around. So this was the last thing he threw away because he needed to keep doing this. I don't know why. This is just demonic. Why would you do that? Why? Why? So another disturbing fact I learned about this guy, when he had killed Shraddah, just a few days later, he brought a date into that same house. Her body is still in the fridge, mark you. He met this Indian girl on Bumble, just like he had met Shraddah. And he brought her in the house and gave her a ring that he had given Shraddah before he killed her. He had proposed to her. So he gave her that ring, and they were actually intimate. They were actually intimate that night. That girl, the woman, slept there without knowing that just a few steps away, there was a whole dead human in the fridge. And the person she's sleeping next to is an insane, psychotic murderer. Imagine. Imagine how she felt when she found out that when she was in that house, there was a body in the fridge, cut up in pieces. Whew. So yeah, he was asked why he did this. Of course, they want a motive. And he was asked where he learned how to do what he did, to dispose of the body parts and everything. And he said partly he learned on Google, and mostly he watched an American show called Dexter, not Delta, Dexter. Some of you, I think, have watched this. I hadn't, so I had to look it up. It's a story about a forensic scientist that works at a police department. And in the day, his day job, he's a forensic scientist. But in the night, he murders people. So he's supposed to be working to solve murders that he himself has committed. So he learned the tricks, how to clean blood with sulfuric acid to destroy DNA, how to dismember the body from that show. He was influenced by that show, apparently. So he said that's where he learned all these things. So police take him to a forest, Mehrauli forest, that was just near where they were staying, where he said he dumped most of the body parts. And he was showing them around, taking them around. I put this here, I threw this there, and they actually collected some bones. This is an ongoing case because it just happened last year. So by the time I finished reading, they had collected 17 body parts, 17 bones, and they had done DNA analysis on these bones using blood or DNA from Shraddah's father and brother, and they found that they matched. So which means this is Shraddah. These are her remains. They also found a few blood spots in the house that he shared with Shraddah, and when they matched this against the DNA received from Shraddah's father and brother, it was a match. And I'm not mentioning Shraddah's mother because her mother died back in 2020. And yeah, so she wasn't around for all this, thank God. It would have broken her heart. As a mother, that would be impossible to handle. So the police were building a case against this guy. He was compelled to show them where he threw the knives that he committed the murder with, the dismemberment, with, the saw, the heavy knives, and the machete. And he showed them where he disposed of these bodies. The body parts, they recovered some, but not all. They recovered a good number. He was even taken to the house, and he was told to demonstrate how the murder took place, how he strangled her, and he actually did. He showed them what he did and how he did it. So now we understood why the water bill was there, because he needed a lot of water to clean and also to make her body tender. You understand? Yeah. So in the midst of interrogation, the police also needed to conduct a polygraph test against this guy and a narco analysis test. Most of you know what a polygraph test is. It's basically a lie detector test. And also they wanted to do a narco analysis test. This is basically a truth serum. They inject you with the truth serum that causes you to be in a sort of hypnotic state, whereby you're not capable of lying. You'll be relaxed, and any question you're asked, you will most likely answer honestly because you are not conscious enough to actually think of a lie and state the lie. So they wanted to perform these two tests. So the truth serum contains certain chemicals. For example, there's the sodium pentothal, scopolamine, and there's also the sodium amytal. In combination, they give the hypnotic effect, like I said before, to stop the subject from lying. And some of the truths that were revealed during this psychoanalysis test, the narco analysis test and the polygraph tests were disheartening. For example, besides him detailing how he killed her and how he dismembered her and disposed of her body, it came out that he wasn't remorseful at all. He actually admitted and said he is on Bumble to target Hindu women. Yeah, he's on Bumble to target Hindu women. And even if he's hanged for the crime that he committed, that is the murder and dismemberment of Shraddah, he does not care because he'll still go to heaven. The murder became political, and there was a lot of religious tension, which there still is in India. I checked some of the comments on their social media pages, their IGs. Both Shraddah and Aftab, and the comments there were not very nice. Some people blamed Shraddah for her death. They blamed her for going back to Aftab even after she was beaten several times and hurt, that even she had to seek medical attention. They blame her for moving to Delhi from Mumbai with him against her family's wishes. They basically blame her for staying even after the beatings that she got. And I don't think this is fair. We cannot do victim blaming. We cannot. It is not her fault that she was murdered by a person she loved. I think this lady, Shraddah, was a victim of love. She was in love blindly with this guy. Although he was hurting her, she kept giving him chance after chance after chance because she loved him. She believed he would change. She believed there was a better future for them. Unfortunately, her time ran out and she died. She was killed. It's unfortunate, but this is a reality that happens to most women. And it was so bad, and I was so sad to read those negative comments about Shraddah and about what she went through. And it was so bad that it became political, that people actually took sides. The dad was calling for the death penalty, which is understandable because he's hurt. This guy murdered his daughter in the most cruel and gruesome way possible, and even disrespected her remains because he doesn't have anything to bury. He has bits and pieces of her, nothing more. In fact, he was begging them and telling them, please, you need to fast track this trial. My daughter has been dead for over a year now. I need to bury her. I need to perform the last rites and bury my daughter. I need to get her remains back. And he cannot before the trial ends, because that is evidence. That's actually evidence. So this was a heavy case. It was a very heavy case. And the trial is still ongoing. They have only just finished the examination in chief, actually part of the examination in chief for the prosecution side. The matter is coming up in court in July 12th, that is tomorrow, for them to hear, to finish hearing the examination in chief, that is from the prosecution side. So we're waiting with bated breath to see what will happen. Will he get the news? Which I believe he should get the news, because there's evidence. It's clear that this guy murdered this girl. He even confessed. He showed them where the body parts were. He showed them how he did it. He had a motive. Apparently he had planned to kill her a week before, and Shraddah started crying during an argument, and he kind of let it slide. But now on May 18th, he got the perfect opportunity to actually beat her and strangle her to death and dismember her and dispose her body all over Delhi. So in my eyes, this guy is totally guilty. Tell me what you think though. But he's guilty. He's guilty. Besides that, if he's found guilty, we can anticipate that he will be sentenced to either life in prison or death, because we have precedents in the same country, India. In 2010, there's a guy by the name Rajesh Gulati, who actually murdered his wife in the exact same way that this guy did, Aftab. He strangled his wife and cut her into pieces and kept disposing of body parts here and there over the span of a month, and mostly in drainage, like the city sewers. He used to put like a hand there, a finger there, an ear there, an arm there. So he was sentenced to life in prison. That was in 2010. So we have precedents. The murders were like exactly the same. The strangling, the chopping up, the putting in the fridge, the preserving with formaldehyde, the throwing of body parts and dismembered parts around the city. He got life in prison. So let's wait for Aftab's fate. And we've come to the end of our story today. It has been heavy, it has been gruesome, but unfortunately that is the truth. That's what happened, and that is the world we live in. We have crazy, cruel people in this world, evil people. That's what happened. Anyway, if you are an unsubscribed viewer, please consider subscribing kindly. I'll be coming back every Tuesday with true crime cases. If it's your interest, please subscribe, hit the notification bell so that every time I post, you get notified. Okay? Share my page, share my content with your friends and also in your social media, and I really, really appreciate any new subscribers I get from this video. The routine is the same. The next video, I'll give you a shout out, call you by name, just like I did in this video and my last video. So thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe and be safe. And whether it is morning, evening, or night where you are, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, or good night. And see you next Tuesday for another true crime video. Thank you and bye-bye.